Imagine, from inside a dark tomb, an invisible curse emerges. With its touch, people begin to die, one after another. The true story behind the world's most famous mummy's curse. At the same time, every lie, every fictionalized event, and every propaganda from the 2026 Bollywood blockbuster Indian movie, Dhurandhar, The Revenge, will be fully exposed today. And is eating beef really forbidden in Hinduism, or does history tell a different story? We'll find out. In today's video, we'll dive deep into three mysterious topics. First, the legendary tale of Tutankhamun's tomb in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. Then, we'll forensically examine every line, every scene of Dhurandhar 2, starring Indian actor Ranveer Singh, to uncover the truth behind its claims. Finally, we'll explore the real position of beef in Hindu history. Everything will be shown with neutral facts, without exaggeration. November 4th, 1922, near Luxor, on the west bank of the Nile in Egypt's Valley of the Kings, British archaeologist Howard Carter entered tomb KV60. His patron was Lord Carnarvon, who financed the entire expedition. As the tomb's door opened, eyes were dazzled by golden masks, royal treasures, and the sight of Tutankhamun's mummy. It instantly became global headlines. But from that very moment, a strange chain of deaths began. Dear viewers, this was the beginning of the famous mummy's curse. But was there truly a curse? Or was it all coincidence and media creation? That's what we'll investigate right now. Where did this curse story actually begin? Let's take a look first. On November 4th, 1922, near Luxor in Egypt, on the west bank of the Nile, the first step into tomb KV60 in the Valley of the Kings was discovered by a local worker. Howard Carter had been excavating for years, financed by Lord Carnarvon. On November 26th, Carter and Carnarvon made a small hole in the tomb's door. When Carter lit a candle and peeked inside, he uttered the famous words, "I see wonderful things." Inside were countless treasures of gold and silver, royal furniture, chariots, and, most famously, Tutankhamun's golden mask. Tutankhamun was a young prince of the 18th dynasty who died at just 18 or 19 years old around 1323 BCE. His tomb was nearly intact, a rarity in Egyptian archaeology. But only months later, a chain of deaths began. On April 5th, 1923, Lord Carnarvon died in Cairo. The cause was an infection from a mosquito bite, which led to blood poisoning in his already weak body. He died just 5 months after the tomb was opened. The media immediately spread the story. This is the mummy's curse. A London journalist dramatized Carnarvon's death, but Howard Carter himself later wrote a letter strongly criticizing him. Carter insisted the curse story was completely false and harmful to archaeology. Yes, a few others did die, an archaeologist, some journalists. But what's the real truth? Howard Carter himself, who entered the tomb first and spent the most time there, he died in 1939 at the age of 64 from lymphoma, 17 years after the discovery. No inscription of a curse was found in the tomb. Ancient Egyptian tombs sometimes had warnings for grave robbers, but Tut's tomb had none. Scientists say it's possible that fungi or bacteria sealed inside for centuries may have caused respiratory issues or infections, especially in those who were already physically weak. But this was no supernatural force. It was media, Tut mania, and newspaper competition that spread the story worldwide. Now let's move to the second part, Bollywood film Dhurandhar, The Revenge, from 2025 to 2026. This sequel, starring Ranveer Singh, was directed by Aditya Dar. Right at the start, the film gives a clear disclaimer: it is not a documentary. It is inspired by real events, but many characters, dialogues, and incidents are fictionalized and dramatized. Still, the movie mixes real events like the 26/11 Mumbai attacks, the IC-814 hijack, demonetization, and encounters into a nationalist thriller. Some critics say the blending of real events with fiction is so strong that audiences may easily confuse them. For example, some characters are loosely inspired by real people or incidents, but their actions and dialogues are largely imagined. One viral image showed Ranveer Singh's character wearing a turban and smoking a cigarette, which director Aditya Dar later confirmed was a completely AI-generated fake photo. He claimed the film shows respect toward the Sikh community. Parts of the film explore political narratives, terrorism origins, and India's security policies, which some found one-sided. Many viewers praised its technical mastery
action sequences, and Ranveer Singh's performance. The truth is, it's a fictional story made for entertainment, where real events are dramatized. Every lie or exaggeration must be seen separately, because a film is never a history book.
The main story of the film begins in Pathankot in the year 2000. A young man named Jaskirat Singh Rangi, who later becomes Hamza Ali Mazari, sets out on a mission of revenge after a brutal attack on his family. In the first film, it is shown how he infiltrates the underworld of Karachi's Liari area and rises within Rehman Dakait's gang. In the second film, after Rehman Dakait's death, Hamza becomes the new Sher-e-Baloch of Liari. He breaks through Pakistan's crime syndicate, politics, and the web of terrorism financing, embarking on a mission to eliminate the masterminds of the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. The film shows Hamza alongside another Indian spy, Jamil Jamali, who, after 40 years in Pakistan, has risen as a politician and built close ties with figures like Dawood Ibrahim. Toward the end of the film, the twist reveals that Jamil himself is also an Indian agent. Ranveer Singh's portrayal of Hamza shows him in Karachi's dark alleys, joining forces with the Baloch community to take down criminals one by one. The film dramatically connects the 2016 surgical strike, demonetization, and some unknown operations. But this is where the exposing every lie begins. First, the film clearly states in its disclaimer that it is entirely fictional, merely inspired by real events. Yet many scenes are crafted in such a way that audiences can easily confuse reality with imagination. For example, after demonetization, the film shows BJP's victory in Uttar Pradesh as if counterfeit notes caused the fall of the Congress government. In reality, demonetization in 2016 was an economic measure, and election results were determined by many socio-political factors. Critics argue this is a one-sided political message. The second big lie: the portrayal of terrorism. The film shows that after the BJP government came to power in 2014, terrorists were trembling in fear. In reality, even after 2014, major attacks occurred in Mumbai, Pulwama, and Uri. The nature of attacks shifted from cities to border areas, but terrorism did not completely stop. This part of the film has been criticized as an exaggerated nationalist narrative. Third, the behavior of characters. For instance, the Pakistani woman character Yelena, who, upon learning Hamza's true identity, instantly lowers her weapon and trusts him. Critics believe such an event is impossible in real life. Another inconsistency: when Hamza kills his partner, Jamil is present but raises no questions. Such scenes have been called masala for cinema, but in reality, they did not align with espionage operations. The character of Rehman Dakait is loosely inspired by the real Liari gangster Rehman Dakait, who died in 2011. But his actions, political connections, and the post-death vacuum are entirely fictional. Similarly, Dawood Ibrahim being shown in a hospital bed and scenes of revenge against him were exaggerated purely for drama. In reality, Dawood Ibrahim's whereabouts remain unknown, and no official operation has depicted him this way. Director Aditya Dar has said the film was made for entertainment. But since it mixes real events like 26/11, Liari operations, and political changes, many viewers have taken it as half-truth. As a result, before its release, the film faced lawsuits, protests, and even international controversy. Now let's go even deeper. Then another major inconsistency appears in the latter half of the film. When Hamza Ali Mazari carries out an operation in Karachi's Liari area, it shows him single-handedly leading the entire syndicate and eliminating multiple targets in one night. In reality, Liari is one of Karachi's most densely populated and crime-prone regions, under the control of Pakistani rangers and police. There is no historical or intelligence record of such a solo operation. Director Aditya Dar explained these scenes as cinematic license, but critics argue it downplays the real difficulty and risks of espionage operations. Another significant falsehood: the IC-814 hijacking is shown as if Indian spies were secretly controlling the entire incident. In reality, from December 24th to December 31st, 1999, during the Kandahar hijacking, the Indian government was forced to release 3 militants. The film ties this incident to Hamza's backstory, which is entirely fictional. The real hijackers were Masood Azhar, Ahmed Omar Saeed Sheikh, and Mufti Latif. No verified information has ever been published about any Indian agent's secret role. The film portrays the revenge after the 26/11's Mumbai attacks as a lone spy's mission. In reality, from November 26th to November 29th, 2008, the attacks at the Taj, Oberoi Trident, and Nariman House in Mumbai killed 166 innocent people. The Pakistani militant group Lashkar-e-Taiba claimed responsibility. The Indian government responded with diplomatic pressure, international investigations, and several covert operations. But there is no record of any dramatic single Sher-e-Baluch style retaliation. This part of the film may stir emotions, but it does not match history. Another small yet important inconsistency. The film shows Ranveer Singh's character wearing a turban, which was later proven to be a viral fake image. The director himself admitted it was AI generated. But using such viral images in promotion confused many viewers. Despite claims of showing respect to the Sikh community, the character's attire and behavior at times leaned close to stereotypes, critics say. All in all, Dhurandhar, The Revenge, is a powerful entertainment thriller. But since it brings real events like 26/11, IC-814, demonetization, and surgical strikes so close to fiction, audiences should remain cautious. This is not history. It is entertainment. Every lie, every twist, and every dramatic moment is crafted for cinema, not reality. Now we move to the third and, for many, the most sensitive question. Is eating beef truly forbidden in Hinduism? Or does history tell a different story? The question of eating beef in Hinduism is extremely sensitive in today's Indian society. Many believe it is completely forbidden and against the core principles of Hinduism. But ancient texts, archaeological evidence, and historical records present a different picture. We will look at those facts neutrally, without any bias. First, the Vedas. In Rig Veda, Mandala 10, Hymn 87, the word Agnya refers to the cow, meaning one who must not be killed. Yet in other parts of the Rig Veda, such as 10.28.3, there is mention of cooking beef and serving it to guests. In Atharva Veda, the cow is called Agnya, but there are also descriptions of cows being sacrificed during certain rituals. Yajur Veda and Sama Veda also mention beef in some yajnas. In the Mahabharata's Anushasana Parva, chapter 115, it is said, eating beef is not sinful if it is for yajna. But in the Shanti Parva of the same Mahabharata, the cow is described as like a mother, and its killing is condemned. In the Ramayana, during Rama's exile, there is no mention of eating beef, only fruits and hunted meat. After the rise of Buddhism and Jainism, especially during Ashoka's reign, 268 to 232 BCE, efforts began to prohibit cow slaughter. In the Gupta period, 320 to 550 CE, with the revival of Brahmanism, the cow began to be seen as sacred. Manusmriti 5.48 calls cow slaughter a great sin. Yet in other chapters of Manusmriti 5.27 to 30, beef consumption is permitted in certain rituals. Now let's see what archaeology says. At Harappan civilization sites, 2600 to 1900 BCE, such as Mehrgarh, Kalibangan, and Lothal, cow bones have been found with cut marks. This suggests that beef consumption was practiced in the Indus Valley civilization. In later Vedic times, especially in northern India, cows began to be seen as essential for agriculture. Killing cows harmed farming, so gradually they were declared sacred. In modern times, after 1947, Article 48 of India's constitution called for the protection of cows and calves. But this is not a central law. It depends on state governments. In Kerala, West Bengal, and several northeastern states, beef consumption and sale are legally permitted. On the other hand, in many northern states, it is banned. In today's context, eating beef is considered disrespectful by many Hindus for cultural and religious reasons. But history shows that in ancient times, beef was consumed during yajnas, guest hospitality, and certain ceremonies. Later, agricultural economy, Buddhist Jain influence, and social changes led to cows being seen as agnya, not to be killed. Among religious leaders and scholars, there are differences of opinion. Some say the cow is like a mother, so killing it is a crime. Others say the early Vedas permitted beef, and restrictions came later.
The most important point, what is practiced in today's Hindu society, is the current social and cultural norm. Everyone's personal beliefs and choices should be respected. Now, let's connect all three topics together.
3 separate topics: the mummy's curse, the fiction of Dhurandhar II, and the question of beef in Hinduism. At first glance may seem unrelated, but there is a deep common thread among them. That thread is the mixture of truth and falsehood. In the case of the mummy's curse, the media in the 1920s turned an ordinary death into a supernatural tale. Lord Carnarvon's death was due to infection, but newspapers turned it into the mummy's curse, creating a sensation worldwide. Howard Carter himself opposed this story, yet the false tale continues to live on even today. Similarly, the Indian film Dhurandhar, The Revenge, built a powerful narrative using real events. The 26/11 Mumbai attacks, the IC-814 hijack, demonetization, and the Liari gang. But each event was dramatized, characters were made superhuman, and some parts were entirely imagined. This leaves audiences wondering, how much is true, how much is false? The director clearly stated it is entertainment. Yet when fiction is blended so closely with real history, separating truth from falsehood becomes difficult. The question of beef in Hinduism shows the same pattern. Ancient Vedas, the Mahabharata, and archaeological evidence show that beef consumption was practiced in certain contexts during the Vedic age. Later, with the rise of agrarian society, Buddhist Jain influence, and social changes, the cow began to be seen as sacred. In today's India, it is a mix of religious belief, cultural tradition, and legal regulation. Some focus only on modern rules, others search ancient texts. As a result, multiple layers of truth emerge. From these 3 topics, we learn an important lesson. Human mind does not always seek plain truth. We crave stories, drama, emotion. The Mummy's Curse story frightened people. Dhurandhar II excited audiences and stirred nationalist feelings. The beef question touched people's religious identity. But real knowledge comes when we ask questions, verify facts, and search for truth without bias. In today's world, through social media, cinema, and news, truth and falsehood mix so quickly that separating them is hard. Just like the Mummy's Curse, many modern curses, or conspiracy stories, are born from a blend of media and emotion. Films like Dhurandhar II entertain us, but it is our responsibility to separate fiction from real events. And in matters of religious belief, respecting each person's faith while not distorting history is essential. Through these 3 stories, we see that truth is often complex. It has no simple answer. The Mummy's Curse was a creation of the media. Dhurandhar II was entertainment fiction. The beef question was a mix of history, belief, and society. In all cases, our task is to ask questions, verify information, and decide with our own mind. In today's video, we went deep into 3 different mysteries. First, the Valley of the Kings in Egypt, KV60 tomb, November 4th, 1922. The real story of Tutankhamun's mummy's curse. We saw that Lord Carnarvon's death was due to infection from a mosquito bite. Howard Carter himself died 17 years later, and no evidence of any supernatural curse was ever found. It was a famous myth created by the media of the 1920s. Second, we examined every falsehood in the film Dhurandhar, The Revenge, starring Ranveer Singh. The film begins with a disclaimer that it is fictional, merely inspired by real events. Yet the 26/11 Mumbai attacks, the IC-814 hijack, demonetization, the Liari gang, and other real incidents were dramatized, with some parts entirely imagined. The superhuman actions of characters, political narratives, and certain stereotypes made the film entertaining, but it does not fully match real history. Director Aditya Dar clearly stated it is cinema, not a history book. Third, the question of beef in Hinduism. From the Vedas, the Mahabharata, Manusmriti, and archaeological evidence, we saw that in the Vedic age, beef was mentioned in certain yajnas and ceremonies. Later, with the rise of agrarian economy, Buddhist Jain influence, and social changes, the cow began to be seen as Agnya, sacred
and not to be killed.
In today's India, it is a mix of religious belief, cultural tradition,
And state-based laws. Everyone's personal faith should be respected, but history should not be distorted. Through these 3 stories, we can realize one common truth. 19. In human history, religion and entertainment, truth and falsehood are always mixed together. Like the mummy's curse, many stories are created by media. Like Dhurandhar 2, cinema dramatizes reality. Religious beliefs evolve with time, so our responsibility is always to ask questions, verify information, and seek truth with neutrality. If you want to explore these 3 topics further, read books, check reliable sources, and engage in discussion. Truth is never found in one night. Remember, it is a journey. Thank you for watching this video. Always stay connected with us. Follow on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the profile. If you found this video informative and thought-provoking, then like, share, and subscribe to the channel. In the next video, we will bring another mysterious topic. Stay in peace. Stay in search of truth.